Welcome back to the channel, guys. A little update going on. We're 2 weeks from cleaning some cars and we have a lot of work to do. So this is what we're going and working on right now. Chris is putting a new bracket on this fuel pump, but this fuel pump is going to run into this fuel line right here. That line goes into the surge tank, and theoretically this tank should be pressurized at all times. I have another pump pulling from this one, the pressurized tank, goes into another filter. So we got two filters in the system, and this filter goes straight up. Tanner's zip tying it down under the block or under the frame, and it goes to the regulator up there. So that regulator is going to run a return line, which is this one right here. And then this one, when it's pressurized, is gonna have a line that comes back here. So that way it can at least bleed off some of the pressure. Hopefully this is a small enough line to create pressure is kind of the idea here. Let's go up front. Up front, we got the full solid axle mounted. We got the rack and pinion just kind of tacked on here with heim joints up here. I'm still waiting on wheels and tires. These are some of the burnout tires that just kind of bolt up. I'm trying to get ride height set here, but the wheel and tire companies are killing me, and I ordered them over a week ago and we're still waiting. So just waiting. But anyway, we're gonna go get some other jack stands to lower this down, and I'm just gonna go and start getting the front end where I think it'll be with the other tires and just start welding on, because we got 2 weeks and this is a lot of work to get all this stuff mounted together. It's not just one and done deal. So that's what we're working on here. This is the fuel line that Tanner's getting all tied up. I'm gonna put it back into the regulator. But everything is working good. Once we get this fuel line hooked up, I'll probably start it, and just so I can hear it again. Might not start until tomorrow, but I'm trying to get this front end all fixed up tonight is the plan. All right, guys, so we're starting to get some progress here. I got that kind of sitting here. I got this sitting on the jack down here. Kind of see my plan there. Just looking everything over. I'm gonna measure about 1,000 times before I really weld this stuff together. But the rack and pinion fits perfectly in there. That's very nice. But everything else is looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. It's gonna be super exciting when I get these welded on and I can cycle the suspension. That's gonna be probably the most exciting part of this whole ordeal. We have not updated in a while, but we have done a lot of work. So as you see, the front end is held on completely. We're all tacked up over there. That's how we're sitting. And we got this tacked up. We have it at the caster that we want. Everything is good over here. You can see the panhard bar is tacked on right here, tacked on over here. Everything cycles good. I went through all the motions. It cycles super well. It really doesn't have much side-to-side movement. A lot of times the panhard bars, you'll have the axle moving side to side a little bit for just the angle of the bar, but this thing stays really well, surprisingly. But we just built this thing. It's a hoop right here, and this is where I'm going to mount the coilovers off of. I just kind of tacking the bolts on there right now. I'm gonna come up with something a little more permanent, either that or just really weld that bolt on there really good. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It sucks because we're gonna get all these coilovers on and I don't have any wheels or tires, so that kind of sucks. But we'll put jack stands under this and let the weight of the car down and see how much travel down we have on this. So other than that, we are looking good. Gonna put the rack back on. We just took it off to get some more room in here. But I'm thinking about having I'm gonna have the grill mounted off this thing, or not run a grill. I'm not sure. We're gonna see what we're doing here in a minute. I'm not really sure. But just wanted to update you guys. Guys, we are making more progress. I could not go with the grill. The grill is like a staple of this thing. So got the grill back on here. Let me kind of show you how I got it mocked up here. I was using the jack to kind of get it in place, but I have this flat bar. I'll cut this off here, but I welded that in here, and I can pull this kind of where I want. Probably drill a hole right there, and bolt that. And then I have these tubes coming off my main bar here. I notched those so they fit real nice. And then they bolt up to the bottom of the radiator. That way it's got support from the front and the bottom. And once this is mounted, that's nice because all I gotta do is put my radiator in there. The radiator mounts inside the grill. There's already mounts made from the last setup. and I'm just gonna keep rolling with those because they work just fine. So everything's starting to get tied up some more. When I was cutting the grill off this front end, the headlight fell out, so I gotta put that back in there. But everything's looking good, centered up. See the dog is all centered up with that center blade. Everything looks pretty good to me. I measured for the axle, the grill I just kind of eyeballed because a lot of this stuff on the rat rod isn't that straight. The frame is straight, obviously, so I got the frame, or I got the front end straight on the frame. But as far as the cab and everything else goes, it's kind of hard, so I just kind of eyeballed it to make it look good. But all the structural components are all in line. It's gonna be really nice having a front end with a wheel, not wheel base, but like wheel width to be similar to the rear, because the other ones was super skinny before. So this should be a lot better. But I'm getting ready to almost final weld everything in. Everything is just tacked right now. We get wheels and tires tomorrow. Once we get wheels and tires on, this thing is gonna be here. But it is looking so freaking good, guys. I'm so pumped with it. So I pulled the front end out of it. I have all the brackets for the panhard bar, for the ladder bars, for the bracket. Everything is finished welded. So now what I'm doing, I took the hubs off. You can see that's old grease right there. I completely took out all the old bearings. I cleaned these out, wire wheeled them. I got all brand new bearings. I got a new bearing pack right here. It's pretty cool, packing these bearings. And yeah, getting ready to put this new seal in here and just get everything all new. We're planning on doing some pretty high speeds. I just want to make sure everything is brand new, good to go in this thing. All right, we got the new hub on with the new bearings and the seal. Everything's good there. Got the lock nut all done. Now I just need to put the cover on. So I have the cover over here, and I'm starting to wire wheel this so I can get this painted. But you can tell this the old Jeep Ram still has the lockers and unlocker. So kind of a cool little thing. I'll obviously leave there. But I'm gonna wire wheel this, get it all cleaned up, and then get going on this other side. So you can kind of see how nasty it is, and then you can see how I wire wheeled everything. Got all this nice grease in there, and this stuff should paint up real nice. So I do plan on painting all this. So I thought I smelled something when I was welding. Damn it. We got the whole front end completely painted. I got new rotors. You guys saw me doing the whole packing the bearings and everything. Grinder got me last night, but that's all right. We're working away. Show you what we're doing over here. I'm mocking up this bar right here to give it some more structural support because it's got a lot of leverage up here where the coilovers are mounted. So I just want to give it a little bit more support back here. So I'm building this bar. You can kind of see it'll fit up and everything. We're gonna do the same thing over there, and it'll kind of tie everything together nice. And if I ever want to mount something, I can mount whatever I want off this bar. It's kind of what I built it for. So just kind of finishing welding all this stuff in, and then we'll put the front end on. I also got tires and wheels finally. So we got them mounted today, and we might be able to put this thing on its own weight tonight. We'll see. All right, guys, another day here. All the paint has dried, and we are working on the rat rod again. Don't freak out about my overspray on the frame. We're planning on painting the frame completely black, so figured it'd be easier just to paint this all red and then come through, tape off the bars, and paint the frame black. So I'm just gonna paint over the overspray. Kind of is what it is. Front end's looking pretty good. This is probably the last time this front end will be this clean. I wire wheeled every single thing on this. There's not a single part on this that is not all new. So we are getting ready to put this thing on, mock it up, because as I mentioned before, we need to make a cradle, or we need to figure out a way to make this crossbar right here lower. This is my really bad drawing, but this is kind of my idea for it. Either gonna do that or just straight up weld a piece completely across the bottom. We gotta figure out what we're gonna do. But we're mocking this thing up to see where the suspension travels with the wheels and tires. And after we do that, we can see where the steering goes. And if we have enough room to do it the one way, we'll probably just do it that way for now, just to make it easier. But anyway, just mocking stuff up. It's starting to look pretty good. I definitely like the color combo. still thrashing on the rat rod, and we really haven't updated a whole lot. But as you can see over here, we had this thing on its own tires last night, holding itself up. So I just got a call from our burnout friends here in Texas, Wallers. So he, if you don't know, has that orange Ranger with the big block Ford in it that goes to the contest. He's like, hey, we're testing tomorrow. I'm like, shit. So we're gonna try and slam this thing together. I'm waiting on some front brake lines. So I'm thinking about just running over to AutoZone real quick and just trying to see if I can just find anything, because testing is so valuable. But I'm gonna try and get this thing put on, get the radiator on, try and get all the essential things put on, and then if I'm waiting on some special bolts, and those bolts come in tomorrow. So hopefully if I get those, I can come home, bleed the brakes, and go testing. Testing is super valuable, so I really want to try and go test and see if we can just see if we can just do burnout. I don't know. We did a bunch of new stuff, so I just want to go see how it goes. But
how are things going on the rat rod?
just continuing to thrash. We are sitting at midnight for the umpteenth time in a row, just working away. I think we're right at the very end as far as getting brake stuff done. This is something I wanted to tackle right here is the steering. You can see this has a pivot now. I didn't have a pivot before, and this was very, very uncomfortable for me. I'm a big dude, and this is already a super small cab, so having this just straight out was always in my gut. It was hard to drive, so I'm gonna move it up, and it's kind of gonna be more like a bus steering wheel now, being so far up. But it's just gonna make it easier for me to drive, and that's all that matters. It's my rig, so I want to make it easier for me to drive. And next time I build a car, I'm gonna pick something with a lot bigger cab, because this is ridiculous. But anyway, I am also working on a diet regimen to try and thin out my stomach, but that's slow going. So we gotta do some quick results right now, and so I'm making some stock right here to hopefully bolt to that bar. I'm gonna angle cut it for here, and we'll weld it to that. We'll weld it here. I've just put this heim joint in there. I put a new bearing in here, new bearing in there. Cut these down at work on a lathe, making everything right, and we've just been slamming away. I think the front end's front end stuff's all done. Mounted the radiator. I got the top radiator hoses redone because they're super long, but now we need to, the radiator's farther out there, so I had to extend the hoses. But on the bottom, we still got to figure the bottom hose out. We're still trying to make this test session tomorrow. I don't know how it's going to go though. I would really like to get there. I don't know if it's going to happen. I got to figure out that bottom radiator hose. Other than that, the bottom radiator hose, steering, and brakes are the main important things. If we can get those knocked out, I think we can at least go over there and try and do a burnout. So, but yeah, just constant thrashes. I haven't thrashed this hard on the rat rod ever. I knew it was going to be a thrash, and the big part that sucks is waiting on parts. We waited on a lot of parts for this thing for a while, which took up most of our time. So now we're thrashing everything in the last 2 weeks. But it's very, very awesome to have this thing sitting on its own power and just being able to roll. I mean, we haven't really rolled it, but we could if we wanted to. I just steered it for the first time. I want to show them that to you. I just got this stuff working. So the steering works. It's not really hard. Obviously, there's no weight on it at the moment, but it feels very similar to how it was before. So I don't think I'm gonna have any issues there. If I do, we'll address it. But everything's going good. Sorry, I'm not videoing a whole lot. Tanner's trying to make sure we get some video, but we're just trying to make sure that we can make it to Indy because we got a lot of money tied up in going to this event. So just trying to show up, show out, and have a good time. But yeah, this is fun.
Okay.
All right, we got the steering all situated, as we can see here. Everything's all just kind of tacked in place on the lever B. But as you can tell, we got a solid, like, I would call that 2 inches, 2 to 3 inches. And you might think that's still pretty close to your steering wheel, but considering this steering wheel used to sit in my gut, yeah, so much better. So I got way more room. It's almost like driving a bus now, but whatever. I got plenty of room here. I got all my room. Got my little supports right here. I'm gonna weld these on. Be super strong. It's very exciting to be able to turn this thing and watch the wheels turn. That's a very big relief. We got some other steering components coming in that might make it a little bit better. But I think as of right now, this is perfect. This is what we need, and I'm excited. So we're just gonna keep trucking along, but progress is happening. So yes. That was a little rowdy. We lost fuel pressure though.
Did we?
Yeah.
Okay. Doesn't work no more. Uh-oh. Steer it. Your weld's broke.
I had my arm out the window and the tire blew.
Oh no.
It freaking hurt. Oh, and it data logged. Good deal, dude.
This back tire's about to blow, by the way.
Okay. Let's save data log as police. I don't know, it lost fuel pressure, but it didn't lose it on tipping, so that's good.
Yeah.
I think we just need to fill this thing up full of gas.
Yeah. That might help.
That was spicy, dude.
That was on a rip.
That was pretty good. Dude, it did a full, like, flip around.
Did you see any of the flames?
No, was it shooting flames?
It was all four on both sides.
No way! Nice. Well, guys, testing went really good. I just noticed that I didn't really film a whole lot after testing, but testing went really good. It's our very first tip in without losing fuel pressure. It lost fuel pressure towards the end, but I had at most like half a tank of fuel. So I'm not really too worried about the fuel pressure issue. Something that I also did to try and fix my issue is moving my fuel pump. So let me show you guys that. You guys know that my fuel pump used to be above the tank, so what I did is I actually mounted it below. A lot of people were telling me to do that, and I'm gonna listen. So that's the only thing I really changed from testing, so I'm not really too worried about it. Something else that I changed is on my nitrous on the Holly. I also made it to where if it goes below like 20 pounds of where my normal fuel pressure is, to not have the nitrous come on. So it's actually only 10. So if it drops 10 PSI from where it's actually at, it's gonna shut the nitrous off, which is good because I don't wanna be burning this thing up. These lean conditions are not the best for the rat rod. Luckily, everything is pretty rich as far as the tune-up goes. It's pretty safe, but I don't wanna take chances and try and burn this thing up. It's not the end of the world if I blow this thing up, but I would like to not. It makes it a lot more fun when you can just keep going out and driving it. All right, everybody, the rat rod's on the lift at work. I brought it in. You can see the all new hardware. See all the brake lines and everything just kind of dangling. We were in a big hurry to go testing, so this is all the stuff that I want to tie up, rewire, make nice. You can see the brake lines are just kind of hanging out. They're just existing, so I'm gonna try and fix those. Kind of doing some other stuff here. I needed to not re-weld, but I couldn't get to the inside here, so I wanted to be able to weld all that up. So I got that welded on the lift. Needed to weld these. That one doesn't look so hot, but just needed to weld some stuff up. Chris and Tanner are cleaning up some of the brake line stuff. I changed the mounting on the fuel pump. So before, the fuel pump was mounted on that bar up there, and I always kind of wondered if mounting it below tank level would be good, and everybody has kind of mentioned to do that. So this is what I did. I just built a little bar, brought her down, and built a little bracket off of it, and I ran this line right here, and I put little clamps in there to try and clean it up a little bit, and ran it over to the surge tank. You can see where I put block offs in my back brake lines, so because I don't use those for burnout stuff. But overall, just kind of doing a nut and bolt check on the rat rod. We don't really put it on the lift very often, and I don't get under the thing because unless you jack this thing up on like super tall jack stands, it's really hard to get under there. It's low to the ground. So something else that we're gonna plan on doing is making the steering a little bit more permanent. One thing that kind of happened was the bolt came out of one of the universal joints because I didn't put a nut on it. So I kind of wanted to upgrade that bolt to a little bigger, just kind of make sure I have a good sized bolt in there. I don't want to be breaking anything like that. And then I'm also going to change my spring rate. I have a couple different springs. I have a set of 450 springs on the front. And as you guys know, this thing doesn't weigh anything, so those are pretty heavy. I'm probably going to drop it down to a 350 or 250 spring. I have both, so just kind of test out, see which one looks better. But other than that, we're just kind of doing tidy up stuff, making sure everything's good, checking all of our grounds. I'm really trying to make sure everything is set up correctly on this thing. I don't want to have any issues. Overall, I am so happy with how the front end of this thing turned out. Everything just really, really worked good. It drives so much better, and I'm gonna go do some more driving as well. But I'm just loving it. Not loving that rat's nest right there. I'll clean that up, but that's the little stuff that we're working on today and this weekend. We'll see all you guys at Indy. Really appreciate you watching and sticking through. I know this was like a longer video, but the rat rod's ready. I'm super excited. I hope you guys like the new look of it. The old front end just had to go. It's sad because me and Dad put that together when I was a kid, but we're only moving up from here. And I will never forget where we started with the rat rod. It was never going to be this big when me and my dad started it, and it has just turned into something crazy. It's really awesome, and I have to thank my dad a lot for getting me into this type of stuff because I truly love it. So thanks, Dad.